La 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 la. Ose Shamayim V'Arayim.
It's our job to be inspired, to see that by design there's compassion everywhere. That means there's also compassion in us. And then we have to make the most of it, right? I think that's what I hear the Sfat Emet saying, and not to bother, not to worry about God's compassion, and and cry for God's compassion. Spiritual story with Sfat Emet. For those of you who would like to follow the Sfat Emet commentary in the Hebrew, it appears on sefaria.org. And go to the end of this video. We will paste the instructions on how to navigate the sefaria.org and find the commentary that is the subject of this lesson. Let me also mention that if people want to follow in the Chumash, so that will be in Deuteronomy chapter 22, Deuteronomy chapter 22, and that is verse 6. And you can find that on the internet, all kinds of places. I like to go to Chabad.org, for instance. I think that's a website that is easy to navigate and rich with all kinds of materials.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Hope everyone had a great week. Today we are in Parshas Teize, and a lot of beautiful mitzvahs in the Torah. In this week's Torah portion, we're going to be dealing with a fascinating, beautiful mitzvah. The mitzvah of Kan Sipur. Okay, so the verse says that if you're walking down the street and you happen to see a bird's nest, and you notice that there are either eggs or baby chicks in the nest, and you notice that the mother is there hovering over the Ephraim, the babies or the eggs, the chicks or the eggs. Mm-hmm. Now, and you're hungry and you want some scrambled eggs for breakfast. So you want to take the baby chicks or the eggs. So the Torah says if you want to do that, okay, fine, as long as it's obviously ownerless. You have to send the mother away. You have to shoo the mother bird away. Then you can take the eggs. I just want to say that there's only 2 mitzvahs in the whole entire Chumash where God says that if you do it, you're going to be blessed with a long life. Now, whether this long life means a long life on earth or a long life or a good time in the world to come, there are only 2 commandments where God says if you do this thing, it's going to be really great for you. This one, and honoring your parents. And honoring your parents. Now, if one honors their parents, it's understandable why you get a great reward. Of all things, this is like a crazy, unusual mitzvah. It doesn't happen. Most people in their whole life will never even get to do this. Right. You can't build a bird's nest and make birds come to your house. It has to happen by chance, literally. And there are a lot of other things that have to happen for you to be able to fulfill this mitzvah. And yet the Torah says that if you end up being able to do it, it's a wild, gewaldige thing. This mitzvah teaches us an unbelievable, valuable lesson in midot, in character traits that we should try and implant within ourselves. So important that we get the big bracha, the big blessing.
Sfat Emet starts here b'midrash keshem shenatan rachamav al adam, kach al habehema v'al ha'of. In the Midrash, it says that just like the Holy One bestowed compassion upon human beings, so the Holy One bestowed compassion upon animals and upon birds. Umakshim.
Right. So I just want to say
Oh,
that it's very important that we get this first part straight, so we'll know what's coming. The Medrash here says what anyone hearing this mitzvah as I described it, the first thought that would come to a normal person's mind is that the reason is that to show that God is merciful. And not only, as the Medrash you just translated says, not only is God merciful on human beings, God is also merciful on animals. So to such extent that he doesn't want the mother bird to feel bad, right? That's the most obvious understanding of this. So we send the mother bird away. The mother bird shouldn't see the babies being taken away.
So you would think that would be the reason for the mitzvah, but
we have a problem.
Let's find out. Umakshim, and it's being challenged. Deita b'Mishnah, as it's brought in the Mishnah, which is you could say maybe an earlier body of literature. Haomer al ken tzipor yagiu achamecha meshatkin oto. A person who says about this mitzvah of shooing off the bird, if you say about that this is a testament to God's compassion, he's being silenced.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, to our teaching today, you'll see clearly that a very stark contradiction, which you find a lot. But the whole idea, of course, is to try and make the contradiction not a contradiction, which is basically the key lesson of life, right? In the olden times, before they had the Siddur, and even when they had the Siddur, but the Baal Tefillah, the person who, like today we have the Chazan, or the guy that represents the group, the congregation, goes up front to say the prayers out loud for people who maybe don't know the words so well or whatever it is. But there was a period of time in Jewish history when the guy who had that honor, he was able to make up his own, it was more improvisational. He was able to add things on the topic of the day, may God save us from COVID, whatever it is. He was able to add stuff on behalf of the congregation.
Yeah.
And some things were okay, but then the Mishnah talks about things that a guy would get up there and stick in that were awkward and weird and stuff that we would tell him, hey man, I get you, but don't say that. That prayer is a little bit off. So if the guy, maybe it was this Parsha, this time of the year, and the Baal Tefillah would get up there and he would say, oh God, please this, please that. And he would say, God, we praise you so much because your mercy extends even to the birds. So the rabbi would pull him to the side and he would say, you're for the birds. Please don't say that.
That's right.
Don't say that one. And the Gemara will explain why.
Right. ובגמרא, שעושה מידותיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא חכמים, ואינם אלא גזירות, עיין שם. And in the Gemara asks a question. We claim that the Holy One, blessed be, is all compassion, but in fact we see that there's a lot of harsh judgment as well.
But over here, when it says Gezeres Akasuv, it means that there are certain commandments that we accept at face value simply because they are the commandments of the king. Ultimately, everything is a Gezerot HaMelech.
Right.
So
these are edicts of the king. In other words,
right,
they're given as instructions, and we don't ask, why. We don't want to, we don't do it because of the reason. We do it because it was asked. Yeah.
Exactly, because then you're going to come to a command. The king's going to tell you something that you don't understand, and you're going to say, hey, wait a minute. Everything else you told me I understood. I'm going to do it. This I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to do it. So the rabbi was saying to the Baal Tefillah, this is dangerous territory. You could be right. You could not be right. But don't mix it up into the prayers.
That's right. Don't go there.
So to get right back to our original problem, but the Medrash says that we do this for this mitzvah.
And here it says, Achen, nirad kavanat midrash, and in fact, it looks like the intention of the midrash that we started with, Shnatan Rachamav v'chol habuim, that God has acted compassionately with all creatures. Kitugatuv Rachamav al kol ma'asav is from Tehillim, from the Psalms. Pirush Ainyan. So, in other words, that's a contradiction that the Gemara, the Gemara says no, but the Midrash says yes. So how can how do you reconcile that? Pirush Ainyan, ki Adam merachem ala Adam velo ala be'ema. So the meaning of this is that a person, this is now the Sfat Emet clarifying.
Right. The meaning of this start to develop this.
Exactly. So the meaning of this is that the matter is this, that a human being has compassion upon a human being, but not upon an animal. Because a human being doesn't really understand the consciousness of an animal. That's why the human being doesn't have compassion over an animal, which is interesting in and of itself. Like to have compassion, empathy, you need to, with another person, you understand how they're feeling because you're a human being. But with an animal, we don't really know what's exactly in their mind. So how can we actually? But we know that we do have compassion for animals, but we're projecting on them as if they were a human being. So right. I really feel bad for my puppy, but it's because I'm assuming that my puppy has the same emotional needs that I have. But the Satan says no. So we have no place to really be compassionate or empathetic or anything on an animal because we don't know what the animal is experiencing. Because it is out of the bounds of, it's out of reach for a human being to understand what true compassion for an animal really means. Now he brings an example of, from a different dimension, you could say.
Right, in case you thought we were on top of the food chain.
That's right. And in the same way, angels, they don't understand the human consciousness. And we human beings are like animals to the angels. Just like we don't understand the consciousness of animals, and we can't have compassion for them, so angels can't have compassion for us because they don't have a true understanding of our consciousness. I'm sorry. אכן, השם יתברך, היודע הכל, הוא יודע דעת המלאכים, והאדם, והבהמה, וכל בריאה. And it is so that the Holy One, blessed be, who knows the consciousness of everything and everybody, knows the consciousness of the angels and of human beings and of and animals and that of all of creation. By definition, obviously, right? The Creator knows His creations, you can say. That's why it says in the Psalms, as it was quoted earlier, God's compassion is upon all God's creation. For this reason, explains the Sifat Emet. And we continue. והשם יתברך יודע כי רחמנות של האם על האפרוחים בעניין זה אם תילקח אם על הבנים.
If, in other words, we can't understand animals, angels don't understand people, people don't understand angels, nobody understands each other. But God understands what's going on inside everything because, as you said, God is the creator of all. So God necessarily does understand the emotion of the mother bird if she would be present when the chicks are taken. If you would take it in the mother's present, because God does have a connection to that mother bird and does understand, Kibiyachol, that the mother bird is emotionally distraught, even though a human can't.
Yeah.
That's step one. That's step one. He's got. This is a little bit complex, but he's developing an unbelievable thesis over here. But that's step one.
Okay, so now he's going right. So now he's going to another incident in the Torah. So the Torah tells us that we should not slaughter an animal, a calf, and its mother on the same day. ובאמת זה עצמו שהטביע הקדוש ברוך הוא עניין הרחמים בכל בריאה במידה ידועה. And the truth is that this is זה עצמו שהטביע הקדוש ברוך הוא. This is the essence of the matter that the Holy and Blessed Be has embedded compassion in all creatures in a specific measure, or in a known measure. ואדרבה, מחמת אלה המצוות שנתן השם יתברך בבהמה ובעוף. So this is the reason that God has given these mitzvahs related to the animal and related to the bird. That is why there's a matter of compassion that's involved in the mitzvah.
Right. So here's the shlisel, here's the mafteach to the piece. And what the Sfas Emes is doing something beautiful. He's taking one word from that medrash and reinterpreting that one word. We have a whole new meaning to this mitzvah, and we have no contradictions between the Mishnah and the medrash. The medrash said, "Kishem shenosan rachama al ha'adam kachal behema." So we originally thought, and we could interpret natan literally means to give, right? Notain. But Pashut Pshat, simple meaning would be, just like Hashem is merciful, Shenatan Rahmanus, he gives us mercy, he shows us mercy. But we're not allowed to say that. But it's okay, because the Sfas Emes says Shenatan here means to implant, literally to give the capacity for. Just like God gives us the capacity to show mercy on others, so too God gave to animals. So the lesson here is not, oh, look how merciful God is, he told me to send the mother. No, we're supposed to see, look how merciful the mother bird is.
That's right, or the mother cow, whatever it is.
It's to give us a new way of looking at everything in creation, at animals in creation.
Has a certain measure of compassion within them.
Compassion and humility.
Yeah. I see.
It's unbelievable.
So this is a framing of what the Midrash actually means when it says, and God gave mercy. It doesn't mean that God had mercy or has mercy, but God gave every kind of creature a certain measure of mercy, a capacity to have mercy. באמת כל כימה בריאה ברחמים, כמו שכתוב, המנהג את עולמו ובריאותיו ברחמים. And truly, the whole existence of creation, of the world, is with compassion, with mercy. As you could say, it's established upon mercy, as it is written in the liturgy. I think we say that in part of
Davening. Yeah, it's in Shabbos Chakras, I think,
yeah,
too. Yeah.
and Shacharit.
It's all over. It's also similar words in before the Shema.
Yeah,
You find this idea of rachamim a lot in the.
right, in the liturgy. That is why compassion is to be found in all of creation. And the people of Israel, who are the core of creation, are the most merciful. But in each particular creature, there is mercy that comes from the specific design of Hashem. This is what the Midrash meant when it says that God has given God's mercy, just like you just explained. In fact, this is God gave each particular creature a level of mercy or capacity for mercy that fits for their level of consciousness. ובגמרא פירוש מי שאומר שטעם המצווה על ידי שהשם יתברך מרחם על הקן ציפור, and in the Gemara when it explains that anyone who says that the reason for the mitzvah that the blessed God is having compassion on the bird's family, or you could say the bird's nest, but that's not what's in this mitzvah. The blessed God has given the capacity for mercy to the bird itself. So this is the point of the whole teaching, that it's not that God is merciful, but God has designed, has instructed that there should be mercy in each creature according to its measure.
Right. So here we have just an astounding lesson for all of us, that every bria, every creation has implanted within it a natural capacity to be merciful. Now, of course, anyone listening to this will object. You put on the news and tell me about merciful, right? Tell me how people are merciful. Opposite, verkehrt, adarabah. So the point is that that's not God's fault. Everyone has the Yetzer Hara, there's the Yetzer Tov, there's the Yetzer Hara, everyone has an inclination, everyone has the free choice to screw it up.
Yep.
And like we've mentioned a few times, every mitzvah is like a muscle you have to exercise. And this one you have to exercise a lot. And this mitzvah is a way that God gave us to exercise, but we don't have to come to a random bird's nest to exercise the midah of rachmanut, of mercy and empathy. And like you were saying at the beginning, Reb Ruvain, the idea that we're just talking past each other, it's, animals, angels, people, but really people with each other. We're just, and there are many, many mitzvahs where we find that the root of the mitzvah is to build up feelings of empathy for God's creation.
That's right. No, this is good. It's I think it's a reframing. It's a reframing that goes deeper than our usual. I think our usual thought that we need to have compassion for others, or God has compassion for us, or I think what he shows is that we need to see that there's compassion everywhere, and that should remind us, that just like the bird has its level of compassion, and the animal has its level of compassion, you have a level of compassion. So, are you making the most of it? So an angel has a level of compassion, but it's not our job to have compassion about somebody who's lowly than us, or says, consciousness that's lower than us, or consciousness that's higher than us. It's our job to be inspired to see that by design there's compassion everywhere. That means there's also compassion in us, and then we have to make the most of it, right? I think that's what I hear the Sfat Emet saying, and not to bother, not to worry about God's compassion, and cry for God's compassion for us. And not that that's not allowed, but not to attribute it to this mitzvah, because this mitzvah is not about God's compassion. It's about the compassion that God put in me. I don't know how better to put it, but this is how.
Yeah, you put it. That's how you put it.
Yeah,
you put it.
I guess. With that, we're going to end this lesson before we go out with a little bit of a niggin. If you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Why haven't? Well, maybe you're here for the first time. So, if you're here for the first time, you're certainly welcome, and please come back again every Wednesday morning. You can join us if you'd like through meetup.com, spiritual Torah study. We're always open and welcoming other participants. And please like us and subscribe. And how do you express your compassion in your own life? Share your comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. Shalom for now.
Yavo Ezri, Meim Hashem, Oseh, Shemayim Baretz, Ezri, Meim Hashem, Oseh, Shemayim Baretz. One day, Shamayim
You go to the home page, and you scroll down till you find Chassidut. And in Chassidut, you're going to look for the subtitle that says other Chassidut works. And there's Tzadok Cohen. Let's see. Other Chassidut works. And then you keep scrolling down till you find the Sfat Emet. And it's somewhere towards the bottom. There it is. Click on Sfat Emet, and here you're going to look for this week's Parsha, which is in Deuteronomy. There it is. Parshat Teize. There it is. When you open the Teize, you go to section number 14. And there you go. And here you're going to scroll down to the paragraph that's numbered with small number 5. And it's down here. And so it's Bamidrash Keshem Shenatan Rachamav al Ha'adam.